What's up, gamers? Welcome to the first episode of the Rant. Now, this is unlike any of my other shows that we have on That Game Dragon because this is my opportunity to rant about things that are happening in the industry. And today, today we got a good one, right? Nintendo finally revealed their OLED Switch model. I'm going to take a moment of silence here because I don't know who asked for this system. I don't know what they were thinking. I don't know why. I'm trying to answer that question myself. And we're going to get into it because this is kind of frustrating because I, as a gamer, love Nintendo, right? From a first party development perspective, they know how to create games. They know how to create experiences, and they know how to handle their IPs. And so they do an amazing job when it comes to their first party games, right? However, I am a firm believer that they lean on the laurels of these games and the hardware suffers, right? And we've seen this for a while now. And it's frustrating. It really is frustrating because we are in the midst of getting past the pandemic, right? A lot of people are going to be working from home, at least half time. If they're in technology, if you're a first line worker, your situation is a little different. But for the most part, there is a trend to move things online. And now with this Delta variant, right, we don't know where folks are going to be. We don't know how long this is going to last. So for the most part, folks are going to be home, right? Now you have a system that has an OLED display, right? OLED display that only puts out 720p on the go, right? We're not going anywhere. We're staying home. It's still pushing out, your standard HD resolution, 1080p to your television. Yeah, it goes from 6.2 inches to 7 inches, right? And we threw in a wired connection on the base now, and it sells for $350. $350, right? Now, I want you to think about that because while there's still a shortage of next gen systems, well, now they're current gen, right? We're talking about the PS5 and we're talking about the Xbox Series X and Xbox Series S. But you can get those systems for not that much more once you can actually get them in stock, right? And we don't know if this is even going to be available, right? Scalpers are going to pick these up and start pushing them at super heavy prices on eBay and wherever else they can get them, right? So you're probably going to pay around the same price that you would for some of these current gen systems that offer 4K and offer more immersive experiences. And then you have the Nintendo OLED Switch, right? So what are you getting? What are you really getting out of this thing? Okay. So as we transition to Wi-Fi for most of our life, right? Unless you're a diehard PC gamer, right? And you need that hardwired connection because every single frame matters. Frames. So let's talk about that. You have this wired connection to take advantage of your super fast internet connection to play what? Nintendo still hasn't even gotten their online gaming to a place where you can consider it really functional, in my opinion. It still requires a lot of work on the back end to get to a place where it can compare with the PlayStation Network and Xbox Live. Let's just be honest, right? And you don't have the shooters that you really need on that type of platform to help drive this, right? So, okay, I have this super fast hardwired connection. What can I really play that will take advantage of it? Because the rest of the hardware is lacking, right? It's not like I can push out, 120, 240 frames per second for Call of Duty or any of the like because the hardware isn't there to support it. All right. And so for $349, really what you're getting is a little bit of a refresh. This is going to be docked most of the time if you're keeping it at home, right? And where are you really going with it? Where? Tell me. I really want to know. Like, throw your comments. Give me a reason why this is something that's worthwhile and worth buying. All right. Now, I will admit I've bought plenty of Nintendo Switches because they've come out with special editions. I bought the Monster Hunter edition, even though it's old hardware. But just from a collector standpoint, I enjoy having it. Right. But there's no collector model here yet. Right. So there's nothing to really entice me to want to buy this thing. Yeah, it's a nice screen, I guess, for 7 inches. It's not even like it's a full-size tablet that can really take advantage of it. So, in my opinion, this is a kind of a quick money grab where Nintendo will throw out some quick specs, make it sound like it's a really sound investment, and get a bunch of people to go crazy over it because it's a Nintendo product and people will buy it because it's a Nintendo product. But it doesn't mean that it's right. It doesn't mean that it's something that is catering towards the gamer. I find it almost borderline abusive in this situation. And, I hate to say it, Nintendo, like, what are you doing here? What value are you really adding for the gamer at this point? Because they're on their couch, right? And so if they're on their couch, they can have this thing docked. Now one of the things I liked about the Switch Lite was that it was smaller and easier to carry. And to me, it made more sense because I could keep my regular Switch at home docked and I could take the Switch Lite on the go, and it was easier to carry. It was cheaper. I didn't have to worry because if it did break, right, it was $150 or $100 less than buying a full blown Switch. And then, the memory size, 64 gigs, really? Like, come on. We're moving to a place where games are getting much more aggressive in their need for storage, right? And if you really want to push this as a system for the future, right, you would hope that we would move it up to at least 128. That would have been a small cost, honestly, to move it up to 128 gigabytes of storage, right? So this way people can at least feel like, okay, well, at least I have the storage on the go included. I can download a bunch of old titles from the Nintendo store. I could download some of the newer titles and still feel kind of cushy and comfortable with the space that we have there. But when you think about the newer games that are released right there, even the ones that are on here, right? I know it's not comparing to a PS5, but you're still talking about maybe close to 10 gigs if we're talking about DLC that you're pushing down to the system, right? So, all right, you throw 6 games on there, you're kind of almost done. Again, when they could have just gone the route of including the bigger storage and it wouldn't have cost that much. Honestly, to go from 64 to 128 is, I would understand if we were talking about 512, right? Okay, maybe that's a big jump for them. But even 256, I don't think it would have been a big stretch if you're trying to move this system towards the future. And honestly, I sense that after this model, a year or so down the line, they are going to be getting ready to push for the next holiday season a real hardware improvement, right? And so you're going to get caught buying this system, and then a year and a half later or so, you're going to have to already invest in the next version of the Switch, whatever that will be. And by then, the PS5 and the Xbox Series X and S will be well into the current generation with games to support that purchase. And I don't get it, right? Because when you have things like Xbox Ultimate Game Pass, which allows you to play current gen games, really intensive, graphically intensive games that put a lot of pressure on consoles and PC hardware, and you can play those utilizing their remote services on your iPad, on your iPhone, on your Android devices. Really, what deal are you getting out of this? If it wasn't for the fact that Nintendo was very smart when it came to their IPs, there would be no reason to, right? Because if you could get those Nintendo games somewhere else, you probably would. You would buy your Mario, or you would buy your Zelda, or you buy your Metroid elsewhere, right? And so they have an amazing first-party software team that supports these kind of antics, right? They're just awesome at working at all levels of hardware. They're great storytellers, but then it allows Nintendo to take advantage of the consumer, in my opinion, right, by putting out this thing, right? And I have to call it this thing because no one asked for this. I know I didn't ask for this, and I know if you're a hardcore gamer, you didn't ask for this. You were expecting a nice hardware refresh, something to take advantage of, your current televisions, right? I mean, at this point, people have moved away from 1080p in their homes to 4K. It's affordable enough where most folks will have a 4K system. And I think the generation is trying to move towards that arena now. And considering that Nintendo is great at creating software, they could have taken advantage of, running 30 frames per second in 4K and adding the proper hardware in this model to kind of get us there, and then release some patches for games that were existing. I mean, come on, it's happening already. Who isn't doing this at this point, right? Sony's doing it. Microsoft's doing it, right? You're telling me that Nintendo couldn't do this? That no one knows their IPs better in this space than Nintendo does. So if anyone could figure it out, it would be Nintendo, right? But August 8th, you're going to have a situation where folks are going to line up, put themselves in queues to try and get this system. They're going to pay scalpers out the nose to buy this Nintendo Switch OLED. And, the average consumer that doesn't know any better is going to be fooled by marketing, and they're going to think they're getting this great thing. And I'm here to tell you, honestly, that you're not. We don't even need to do a "is it worth it" episode. I can foresee already that most folks getting this that already have a Switch on hand are going to be a little disappointed. Not just because of where the system is, but because of the times that we're in, right? And so you'll pick up this thing October 8th, right? Hopefully the world starts reopening. But if it doesn't, if we got these variants happening, we're still going to be stuck, right? Or kind of worried to step out of our homes and remain home and not travel as much. I mean, this might be something that's great if you're commuting all the time, right? That extra, I guess, surface area of visibility might be helpful. But you're not, right? And I don't know about you. I'm a little concerned about the quality of this OLED, right? We don't know if you can take this thing outside and it's going to look as great as you think it's going to look. I mean, at $349, what type of quality OLED can you actually get on there, right? Yeah. I don't see this being something I can play in the park or in the sun or where it's a nice open space, right? So my suggestion is there's nothing that's taking advantage of this new console, right? There's no new games that are going to be like, this is the must-have game for this, because it's not a hardware refresh. It's not going to take advantage of anything on here that you can't already play on your current Switch. So if you have a Switch, if you have a Switch Lite, I probably would implore you, save your money, right? Consider maybe getting yourself one of the current gen, excuse me. They are current gen now. Current gen consoles, right? Get yourself a PS5, get yourself an Xbox Series X, or at this point, maybe even if you're going to be on the go that much, invest in a service like Ultimate Game Pass from Xbox, right? Because you'll be able to play all those amazing games that are out there that take advantage of great hardware, and you'll be able to play them on the go, right? And so save your money and buy those games. Spend it on Metroid. Spend it on Breath of the Wild 2. Save the $350 and spend it on all the great games that will be released for the holiday season. But don't waste your money. Don't. Let's see. Maybe they'll listen this time. Maybe they will take care of the consumer and not take advantage of the consumer. And you know what? I don't care. Like, if Nintendo listens to this and it pisses them off, like, this is one of those situations where the truth is the truth. Give me a reason to buy this, or don't put it out. And I don't see a reason right now. Anyway, I'm that Game Dragon. This is the Rant. Thank you for listening to my spiel and my nonsense. If you agree, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe. Leave some comments below. If you don't agree, I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to hear why. So just drop a couple of notes and let's talk about it. Convince me. Let me know that this is something worth getting. But you have a great day, and I'll see you soon.